Hello and welcome to another episode of Hombre in Sheep's Clothing podcast. This is a mostly knitting podcast. My name is Jimmy and I'm coming to you from a rather rainy New York City. I live in Brooklyn, actually the Bushwick section of Brooklyn. And as I said before, this is a knitting podcast where I talk about mostly knitting. I talk about my projects that I have finished, projects that I'm working on, and occasionally, like today, I talk about spinning as well. So, let's get started. The first project that I have is a shawl. I think the last time I recorded, which was several weeks ago, I spent the whole month of March trying to get over a cold that wouldn't go away. It would get started anyway. Whatever. This is not a health update, but I'm here. And last time I talked about a shawl that I wanted to knit. Many of my friends were knitting this shawl by Isabelle Kraemer. It's called A Girl's Best Friend, and I wanted to do it myself. So I got some yarns from Knitty City here in New York, and it's finished. I think last time I showed you the skeins, and this is the shawl. I have not blocked it yet, so this is unblocked, but all the knitting is done. I've actually even woven in most of the ends. I just haven't cut them yet because I usually don't cut my ends until after I have blocked my piece. So yeah, this is as you can see, this is a triangular top-down shawl. You start with a garter tab at the center, and then you work down in a triangle. And it starts with like a textured pattern of knits and purls, and then it switches colors with the little garter stripe, and then you start the lace section, which Isabelle calls teardrops, which is very nice, and that obviously needs some good blocking, as all lace does. And there are two sections of lace, and then you go into a some kind of like a stripe with babbles. I don't know if you can see them. I guess you cannot because I'm not showing them to you correctly. But there's a section with babbles. Because of the color of the shawl, it's hard to see, I think. But I don't mind. Right. And then there is a ribbing section for the border. So yeah, this also calls for 3 little pom-poms that you attach to the border, and let's see, that's the border, which obviously I haven't blocked, like I said. You attach them to the border, and these are the pom-poms. I already made them. These are the 3 pom-poms that it calls for. And let's see if I can show you. No, I cannot. on the border, you attach one on the corner or the point of the triangle, and then you go up some ways and you attach another one, and then you attach another one. I am not going to attach these until after I have wet blocked the shawl, because I don't want them to get wet. I'm going to steam them a little bit just to fluff them up, but I don't want them to get wet, because then it'll be forever before they dry. This is finished, and actually I was a little bit concerned that the border would curl a little bit, because it's mostly stockinette with, it's like 3 by 1, so it's mostly stockinette with 1 purl, right? And it does curl a little bit, but actually if I put it on, which this is not, I mean, it's still, it looks lumpy, whatever. If I put it on, the border does curl, but I kind of like it, actually. I like the curl. So, yeah. A Girl's Best Friend by Isabelle Kraemer. This is for me. I'm not giving this away to anybody. And like I said, I got the yarns at Knitty City. These are, the dark one is a Madtosh Light, which I think is 100% merino. I think they're all 100% merino. They're single, they're all singles. So this is Madtosh Light. I think the color is called Dubrovnik, and the turquoise is also a Madtosh, and the color I think is called New York Aquarium. I think that's a exclusive colorway to Knitty City, but I'm not sure. I might be lying to you all. And then I got the speckled yarn, is a Malabrigo Mechita, and I got this from the Knitty City booth at Vogue Knitting Live. The guys from Malabrigo were there, and they were selling their yarn, and this is a unnamed colorway. I don't know if it's a one of a kind, or they haven't named it, or what, but it's a white skein. There's a lot of light, so I'm not sure you can see it. It's a white skein with yellow and blue speckles. Very saturated, actually. A lot of speckles. I used a US 5 needle, which is a 3.75 millimeters. The pattern calls for a US 4, which is 3.5 millimeter. It calls for a US 4, but I like my shawls to be larger, so I went up 1 needle size. I was concerned that I might run out of the blue, the turquoise. That's why I only went up 1 needle size instead of the instead of 2 needle sizes, because usually I prefer to knit with a US 6. And I did not run out of the turquoise, but I'm not sure that I didn't have that much left, so I was fine. And then so that's one of the changes, I guess, that I did to the pattern. I went up 1 needle size, and for the border calls for 2.5 inches of border, and I did 4 inches, I believe. I did 4 inches of border because, again, I like shawls to be a little larger, and I thought that that would be a place where I could increase the size a little bit. Currently, this measures the wingspan is about 59, 60 inches long. So I'm hoping that after blocking, it's going to be closer to like 70 inches long. But we'll see. Next time I'll have it blocked and I'll show it to you again with the pom-poms attached, and I'll tell you how large it came out, because this is, I'm guessing this is going to grow quite a bit, because you can see it looks, at the moment it looks bunched up. This was living on my JonBoyNY project bag, and I still have some of the Malabrigo here. This is how much I have still left. Project number 2 is a bigger project that I've been working on since last time I recorded, and that is the Marled Magic sweater by Stephen West. Last time I recorded, I believe I had done section 1 and 2 out of 14, and I was about to start section 3. Now I have sections 14 out of 14 completed, so let me show you. Last time I recorded, I had done section 1, which is this one, and then I did section 2, which is this one, which is a seed stitch sort of faded color section, and then I did section 3, which is a brioche section, and then section 4, which is this green garter stitch section, and then section 5, which is in the back, is this one. After that, I did section 6, which is the front piece that goes around your chest. Then section 7 is this mesh piece, and then section 8 is this like sideways ribbing, I don't know what that's called, and the next section is another garter stitch section that goes in the back, then a brioche stitch section, another seed stitch section that attaches to a garter stitch section, and then you attach that section to the brioche, the garter stitch section in the back, and attach the two bags together. That was a lot of knitting, but all the sections are done. So now I am actually working on the trimmings, which is the attached I-cord border at the bottom, which I'm doing with a DK dragonfly yarn and a fingering Malabrigo sock. Right, I am marling both of these together to do the trimmings, which is the, like I said, the I cord, and then I'm going to pick up stitches along the collar, and I'm going to knit a collar using the same colors, and then I'm going to pick up stitches along the sleeves, and I'm going to make cuffs on the same color. And I don't have enough space to show you what it all looks like, but it's like a sweater poncho, and that's the back. I'm sure you cannot see, but yeah. So yes, so I'm going to pick up along the collar, because as you can see it's really wide, to close it in a little bit around my neck, and then you pick up stitches along the sleeve and you make long cuffs. Well, I guess you make them as long as you need them. This is almost done, and I still have a lot of leftovers to deal with. So I'm thinking that maybe in the future, I don't know when, I'm going to make the shawl version of this, which is what the shawl is what inspired the sweater, I think, for Stephen. Marled Magic sweater. And I would tell you what yarns I used, but I don't know. I know that most of them are indie dyed yarns. Some are ChileKnitz. Some are some of the mohair is from Stranded Dye Works. Some of this is hedgehog fibers. I think the back here is hedgehog fibers. So it's, yeah, I don't know. But I have, I held one strand of a fingering weight yarn with one strand of mohair throughout the whole project. So there's mohair in everything except the trimmings. The trimmings, as I showed you, they don't have any mohair. They have DK merino and a fingering merino as well. I used a the pattern is written for either US 8 or US 6, and I chose to use the US 6 because I tend to my knitting tends to be looser than most people, so I chose the US 6. I didn't want to make it too big, so this is a US 6 that I'm using, and for for the collar and the cuffs, I think I'm going to use a US 5, but we'll see. Next time I show you the sweater, it should be finished with the cuffs and the collar and the border completed. Right now, I've just started the I cord, the attached I cord bind off. Right, I've just done this one section, and I've started to move to the next section. The next project I'm going to show you is a sock project that I think I started last time. I think I showed you the beginning of last time, and I'm still working on my socks. I usually use these small projects like socks and stuff like that to take with me when I go to like knit night, so that I'm not carrying like a huge project like the sweater, because I would not be able to work on that at a social setting. So I tend to like to have these kind of smaller projects to work on when I am knitting with other people. Because of that, I don't work very hard on these projects, so that's why they take me a long time to do. Disclaimer out of the way, I suppose. So these are the socks I've been working on. I've been doing them 2 at a time, as you can see, from the same ball of yarn. I don't know what got into my head. I know what got into my head. The thinking behind this is that I thought, if I do 2 socks at a time, that means when I'm done with the project, I'm done with the project. I don't have to start another sock and then repeat the same thing again. I can just do them as I go, which is fine, right? And I thought, well, I could split the skein of yarn into 2 balls and work from 2 different balls. But then I was like, if I don't use all of the yarn, I'm going to have like itty bitty leftovers of 2 balls of yarn. Or I could just work from the same ball of yarn, and then when I'm done with the project, I will have leftovers, but they won't be cut. So that's what I thought. I don't hate it. I don't love it. The yarn management is weird. You have to be very careful with, so that you don't get tangled up. I always have to be, because I'm pulling from the outside one strand and from the inside another. I have to be very careful about paying attention to how I'm pulling from one side or the other, so they don't get all tangled up in with one another. And so far I haven't had any entanglement issues yet, but it's kind of dull and tedious to be managing the strands. But anyway, so these are the socks. I'm not following any pattern. I'm just making it up as I go. I mean, it's like pattern. It's not really, whatever. It's like one step above vanilla socks, right? So I did a ribbing, and then I continued with sort of like a broken rib sort of thing. So it's like vanilla plus. Anyway, I'm knitting 72 stitches. I cast on 72 stitches with a US 0, and I think I've mentioned this before. I don't like doing ribbing with a magic loop because I don't know how to manage it, and I always get like a ladder going down. So I usually work the cuffs of my socks with double pointed needles. So that's what I did. I did the cuff. I did 24 rows, I think, of the cuff, which is about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches long, and then I put it aside and I cast on the 72 stitches on this one, and which, by the way, I used a German twisted cast on for my socks because that makes them really stretchy. So yeah, so I did the same thing, did 24 rows, and then I joined them in a magic loop into one needle. And when I did that, I switched to a US 1 needle because that's the tension that works for me with 72 stitches. And then I did maybe like, I don't like long socks. I always end up, when I wear long socks, I always end up rolling them down my my calf, because I guess I have like chubby calves, like everything else. So I was thinking, why knit long socks if you're just going to roll them down? So I knit them shorter. So I knit like maybe like two more inches, 2.5 inches. And because I have a high instep, I started doing some increases so that I ended up with 44 stitches in the back, because I usually when you do socks, you put half of the stitches towards the heel and half of the stitches towards your instep, and I wanted to preserve the same stitches for the instep but have more in the heel so that the instep is not too tight. So anyway, I increased to 44 stitches in the back. Then I did a German short row heel, as you can see. I did a German short row heel, and then I do some after I finish it, I take up the whole sock again, and then I start knitting in the round again, and this time I start decreasing. So it's kind of like a little gusset here that happens. I start decreasing back to the 36 stitches that were on the back, to go back to the 72 stitch count. Anyway, I'm not sure that made any sense, but it did in my head. And that's how I manage my socks with a short row heel. Usually I've done the heel flap and gusset, and those fit fine, but I don't like the look of it. I kind of like the look of the short row heel better, but the fit isn't always comfortable. So I thought that maybe by adding more stitches to the back, it will make it more comfortable. And I've tried these on so far, and they fit fine. So I'm happy with the results so far. And now it's I've got to maybe I have to do a couple of more rows and then start the toe decreases to finish the socks. So hopefully next time you see me, these socks will be done. I'm using a yarn. This is a Portuguese yarn that my friend bought for me when she was visiting Lisbon in Portugal. And the name of the yarn, the name of the company is, can you see that? You probably cannot. Retrosaria Rosa Pomar. And the yarn is called Mondim, which is a fingering weight yarn. It's 100% wool. It does not have any nylon, but it seems pretty sturdy so far. And it's kind of rusticy, but it's not itchy for me, at least. It's 100 grams. Cannot see, can you? It's 100 grams, 385 meters, 425 yards. So it's pretty generous yardage. So yeah. The color on this is, I think they don't have names, they just have numbers. 210. 210 is the color. And I think I've seen this yarn on some websites. Maybe the Woolly Thistle I might have seen them there. I don't know. My last knitting work in progress that I have is this hat that I am working on. I think I showed you last time I was working on a hat that was that I was doing with a really fine needle, and I wasn't so happy, so I decided to undo it and start a new hat again. I'm working with ChileKnitz yarn. This is, the brim is done in her góndola. It's her ChileKnitz cuddly sock is the base, and the colorway is góndola. This is left over from I don't know if you recall, last year I knitted a sweater, a Zweig sweater for her, and this colorway was the body of this Zweig sweater. So this is what I have left over, and I'm using that for the brim of this hat. And then this is a also a cuddly sock that she gave me when she came to Rhinebeck. She gave me this skein of yarn. This is her Gaudí. This is the colorway that she dyed for the Barcelona Knits Festival, where Julie Knits in Paris designed a sweater, a yoke sweater for her, using this as the inspiration. And the sweater is also called Gaudí, which is in one of my future projects. But so I'm using this for the crown of the hat, and I am holding the yarns double. The pattern that I'm using for this hat is called 2x2 by Anne G, and it's a really simple 2x2 ribbing hat. You do a 2x2 ribbing all the way to the top, and then you do the crown reductions, and then that's that. It calls for a worsted weight yarn, and these are fingering weight yarns. So what I did was to hold them double, and also because that gives you kind of like a worsted DK sort of weight yarn. And I also used some mohair to go with it, because the girls from, well, they're not girls, the ladies from the Must Love Yarn podcast, they are having a knit along that they call Fuzzy Along, and I decided to participate in that. And I was knitting the sweater, the Marled Magic sweater, to participate in that knit along. The knit along goes until the middle of April. We are on the 5th of April today, so there's 10 days left. I'm not sure that I'm going to finish that. I'm not sure that I'm going to finish that by the middle of April. So I thought, well, maybe I can finish the hat. Right? Maybe I can finish this hat in 10 days. I'm sure I should be able to finish this in 10 days and still enter something into the knit along. So I am holding 2 strands of fingering, 1 strand of mohair together. I don't know if you can see it. You can see the fuzzy in here. Fuzzy. For the góndola section, I used some leftover Shibui silk cloud. I used this in the dotted rays shawl that I knitted for my friend, that I think I showed you maybe two or three episodes ago. I used this because it was kind of like a faded from yellow to gray, and this was towards the bottom of the shawl, and this is what I had left. So I use that to go with the gondola, right, in the brim section. And then I bought this at Vogue Knitting Live. This is from the Neighborhood Fiber Company, and it's called Shepard Fairey. Yes, I think it's called Shepard Fairey. Shepard Fairey is the artist who designed the 2008 Obama campaign. There was a famous painting of Obama in kind of like a red and blue, I think it is, with the word hope in the bottom. And Shepard Fairey is the one that did that painting. So that's the name of this. That's the name of this colorway. And it's a Neighborhood Fiber Company in their loft base, which is their mohair and silk. And I got that at Vogue Knitting Live this past January. So that's what I'm knitting with. And it's giving this kind of like an interesting marled effect, which I'm really enjoying. Marling everything, I guess. So predictable. But anyway, so I'm using some Chow Goose, 16-inch Chow Goose and US 6, which is what the pattern calls for, is the US 6. And I'm going to knit for a while, because this part, the dark part, I want it to be the brim, so I'm going to fold it over. I want it to be a folded over brim, so I'm clearly, I still have ways to go for the actual hat and then the crown reductions. So hopefully this will be done in 10 days, and next time I record, it should be done. If you can hear some noises, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. City living. I think the next door neighbors moved out at the beginning of the month, and I think that they are showing the apartment, so they're moving stuff around. So, sorry if I didn't record today. I didn't know when I would record again, so my apologies for the noise. If you can't hear it, then my apologies for this nonsense. The next thing I'm going to talk about is future knitting, because I don't know if you'll recall, last year I knitted a couple of tops for my sisters for their birthdays. I have two sisters. Their birthdays are in May, in the middle of May, so I have like 5 weeks, and I want to knit I don't know. I want to knit 2 Tegna tops, designed by Caitlin Hunter, and I am going to use some linen from Quince and Company. I think I did. Blown up. Anyway, Quince and Company. This is their linen. This is the Eclipse colorway. It's 100% linen, and this is going to be for one of my sisters, who's likes black, and this is pretty dark. It's not completely black, but it's pretty close to black. And for my other sister, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I don't mind repeating the same project twice, or doing the same design twice. Actually, I was talking to my friends the other day. I would rather do the same project twice than do 2 different swatches. So that's what I'm gonna do. My sisters get along pretty well. and you know, they've always been good friends since they were little, so I don't think that they're going to mind having the same design in colors that they like. So I think I'll be safe from any resentments, and I think they'll I think they'll be just happy that I knitted something for them. So I think I'm overthinking, as you could tell. But anyway, so this is the other color for my other sister, also linen from Quince & Co. Sparrow is the name of their linen base, and this one is the juniper colorway, which I'm not sure you're going to be able to see. And that's it for knitting. I have a couple of acquisitions that, well, I got those yarns, the linen yarns for my sisters. I guess that is acquisition, but it doesn't really count. It's for a gift, so it doesn't count, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, the other yarns that I got were gifts. I go to a couple of knit nights in different yarn stores. We are very lucky here in New York City that we have several very nice yarn stores, and one of the knit nights that I go to is on Thursday nights at the String Thing Studio in Brooklyn in Park Slope, and in one of those nights sometimes they have like giveaways or whatever, like, and Barry had donated a skein of yarn. Barry is an indie dyer from Canada. His company is the Knitting Wolf Luxury Yarn, which you can find on his website or on Instagram. Anyway, so he donated a skein of yarn. There was like a little contesty thing about guessing. I don't know what it was guessing, but I won. I won, so I got a exclusive Brooklyn Boy Knits collaboration with Barry. Brooklyn Boy is this. His name is Luis. Lois was photographed knitting on the subway, and he became very well known, and he does a lot of like diversity, anti-bullying painting, and one of the things that he works on is a Hat Not Hate, which is an anti-bullying campaign that they do with Shira from Lion Brand Company. And so anyway, one of the collaborations that he did with Barry is this blue yarn, because that is the color for anti-bullying is blue, so that's the color of the campaign. And this is the yarn that I got. This is a DK worsted, something like that. I think it's it might be DK or 210 yards. So I think it's worsted weight yarn, and it's merino cashmere silk, which is very soft and very luxurious, and I love it. And so I think it's 70 merino, 20 cashmere, 10% silk. So it's very nice. And Lewis's No Bully Blues is the name of the colorway, and this is hand dyed by Barry from the Knitting Wolf Luxury Yarns, and that's his Instagram and Facebook. And but I think that this is only available at Lewis's website, which is brooklynboyknits.com. I think he sells this particular colorway. You can find it at JonBoyNY's website. But anyway, so very thankful that I won that. I love it, and I think I don't know what hat I'm going to make, but I'm going to make a hat with that for me. I will make a hat to donate to the campaign, or more hats later, but that one is going to be for me. And the other yarn that I got is this yarn. It's from Brad in Australia, and this one is also a gift. This is his name. His company is Bear Dan Yarns, and this one is also a DK weight yarn, and the color is Poseidon's Tempest. It's also a merino cashmere blend. And Brad, I met Brad in the fall last year. Brad is from Australia. He came to knit with us at the Knitty City guys knit night, and he was very nice, very friendly. We fell in love with Brad, and we wanted to keep him here, but he had to go back. But anyway, he was very, very sweet, and he sent me one skein of yarn, and I love it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one yet, but as you know, these are my colors. Maybe I'll have to look for get some more DK skeins of yarn and look for a DK weight shawl or something. I don't know. And the last project I have for you is some spinning that I've been doing. I go to, again, very lucky to have all these yarn stores. Knitty City has a spinning group on Sunday afternoons, and I go to spinning as much as I can, and there I spin with my spindles. At home I spin with my wheel, but I want to keep practicing spinning with my spindles. But anyway, and there Caitlin, who is the spinning instructor at Knitty City, she was very nice and generous and kind, and she made these blends for me. She carded some wools, some different wools for me, and I'm sorry for the noise. She carded some batlings for me, and she gave them to me. She gave me all these, which is, I mean, I've spun a good bunch now, right? And I still have about half, which is very, very kind and very sweet. And the blends are merino, corriedale, mohair, silk, recycled sari silk, fire start, and nylon. So the fire start is the shiny, I don't know if you can see it. That's super sweet. And so this is what I've been spinning on Sundays at Knitty City. I don't know how that happened, that people are so generous, but so yeah, I don't know what happened, but I've been very lucky these few months, and I've gotten such wonderful gifts, and I really appreciate it. It's really awesome, and isn't it fun? So so that's what I've been spinning for the last few weeks. It's this these batlings, and then oops, this is getting heavy, so I'm getting ready to wind it off and then start another cup. This is called a cup. And then I'm going to do probably a 3-ply yarn with this, and we'll see how it looks. I'll show you how it's coming up next time. That's all I have for today. Thanks for returning. Thanks for the messages that I get. Thanks for the views and the likes. And happy knitting. And I will see you next time. Bye.